There you go, Cory. You're on.
All right, thank you, Steve. So just a couple things, and this will be pretty quick here. So let's go to the next slide. One of the things that we talked about, this is going on a couple of years ago. We started this idea of the disaster volunteers, and to go back to what Randy was saying earlier, this is not about self-deployment. This is about peer-to-peer sharing between folks, so we can share resources, we can share contact information, we can back each other up interpersonally as we're dealing with different disasters, right? So this is a less formalized thing. This is meant to be a peer-to-peer support network that's developed here. Really easy to sign up for it. We haven't held meetings for about the last year. We fell off the radar a little bit. Some of that was due to I took a new job, and there are some other shifts in scheduling that we just weren't able to get back on track. But I would like to have us hold a kind of a re-kickoff here next month if possible. So there'll be an invitation going out to folks that have signed up in the past, and if we get any new ones, but go to the mgacepc.org, and if you scroll down, there is this Minnesota Geospatial Community Resilience Volunteer Survey. That's not a survey to say that you're going to go volunteer and self-deploy out to things. This is the volunteer to connect you with other peers that are interested in helping each other with this. So yeah, next slide. And this is the basic outline. It's relatively informal at this point. We're looking to do the quarterly meetings, use this for networking or sharing the ideas and resources, looking to formalize around possible future GEMS support. And I don't know if that was mentioned earlier in the meeting, but the GEMS program being an idea that was brought up many years ago to create basically a certification of competencies that a GIS professional would have to be able to show. So as kind of going back to what Randy was presenting earlier about introducing yourself to your EOC and your emergency management folks, this would be another avenue to show your competencies about these are the things that you've learned, this is what you know, this is what your skills are. So that's it for disaster volunteers. Let's go on to the next one. I don't know if you've got that. Okay, well, there's no slides for that one, but the next piece was the damage assessment data standard for Minnesota. So this was an effort that was undertaken starting about 2017. This was spearheaded by Brad Anderson from City of Moorhead. And I had joined him in this, and what we were doing, the idea behind this is we wanted to provide a single commonly accepted set of attributes to collect damage assessment information in the event of a disaster. Brad and I had both spent some time kind of commiserating about us working at cities at the time, that we would go into the EOC and we would be told, okay, we need a data collector. And then we'd ask the question, okay, what do you need to collect? And a lot of times we would get a blank stare back, or we would get I don't know what we need to collect. So we had to kind of guess and put this stuff together from what we have from FEMA documentation, HSCM, and all these different areas. So we took on the hard work along with a bunch of other folks. We had representatives from Metro GIS, cities in the cities within the Twin Cities area, and then cities from outstate. We had Dakota County participate, Washington County, Bolton and Mink, WSB, folks from HSCM. We also had Steve, for the Emergency Preparedness Committee. We did have a rep from Esri also joining us, and then we had the Minnesota Army National Guard, a volunteer that had come in to join us to review all this. So we spent a couple years going over this. I think it's due for a refresh because the last update on there is 2021. So we need to get in and take a look to make sure that everything is still valid with the attributes. The schema for it is set up that it's meant that you can download it. You can use this, and we're not saying that you have to use it in a particular format. It could be used to set up paper forms, honestly, if you wanted. But it takes you through the different levels of what is a windshield damage assessment to a preliminary damage assessment to a comprehensive damage assessment. And there are mandatory and conditional and optional fields. That's all spelled out there in the spreadsheet. You could download a geodatabase if you wanted to use that to start setting up your template. I myself have used just the schema spreadsheet, and I've built survey 123s, as well as some other applications that I have worked with before for virtual EOC applications. This is totally voluntary. This is not a mandatory thing to use. This is a voluntary thing if you want to use this to help. I think that's it. And since Steve pulled up the website, and I can put the link here in the chat, and that's all I have. So that's the super fast rundown on the damage assessment data standard.
Thank you very much, Cory. It wasn't glamorous, but one of the stories that Cory didn't tell you is, ironically, they no more finished the standard than I monitor the GIS chat group from Iowa, and it was shortly after this was completed. They had a bad, I forget what it was. I think it was the series of tornadoes that went through the state that were real bad down there. And they're all flailing around going like, does anybody know about a damage assessment standard that we could use as our starting point for what we're doing here? So, this is good work, and there it is. So just a reminder that it's out there.